Tune in to UFO Undercover, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, with your host, Joe Montaldo, right here
and
on
Jay
the
McNichols.
Paranormal Radio Network.
Yes, we need to get somebody to redo it.
We need to redo. Yeah, that would be cool.
Michelle into it, or maybe Amelia.
Do you like how the AI made like our names and script?
Well, you drove out there into the middle of nowhere.
It's one of the first things I noticed.
Loud verbal display challenging ET in general out in the middle of nowhere.
I feel I need to learn script. Everybody needs to learn damn shit.
Yep. I got my hands smacked by rulers by some nuns to learn how to write this stuff.
And at this moment, I said, okay.
We got to get Ian in here one day and interview him how he did this song. Is that a theremin? A theremin? What do they call it? Theremin?
He told me when he was in the chat one night and we talked about it when it was first made.
He was a Louisiana man.
I mean, it's a total insult, is what it is. But people who heard it don't realize it. And I loved it. Unfortunately for him, I have a sense of humor. Screw this whole thing up. But we've been friends because of it. He goes, man, I didn't realize you actually do have a sense of humor. Like, yeah, that's hilarious, dude. I can't hate on you.
You can't do this research without having a huge sense of humor. You'd go nuts otherwise.
Commenced to throw in his weight around. Now, old Six Gun didn't take too kindly to that kind of thing, especially without Vaseline or anything like that,
Hey, with the bad humor.
Well, Six Gun looked that critter right in the eye and said, any last wish before you die, Yells? Reached for his gun, quick as a twitch, and said, fill your claw, you son of a bitch. Now a legend spread across the land about this pistol-waving man. But if you're from space or from Earth below, you don't give no lip to Six Gun Joe.
Hi, you've got to listen to ICAR, that's International Community for Alien Research, www.icar1.com. I should know. I'm Irish.
I'm bloody Irish, mate. Yes, I am. I'm bloody Irish, mate. Hello, everyone. Welcome to UFO Undercover. How y'all doing? I hope you're ready for the show and all that good stuff. I psyched y'all.
The night has come, it's cold and losing my control. Your light is gone, and lonely darkness fill my soul. I wish that you could save me from my isolation. It's way too complicated. Let's stop this conversation. Stop this conversation. We got no relation.
Well, am I gonna psych y'all again? Nah, I wouldn't dare do that twice. No, I wouldn't. Well, welcome to UFO Undercover. Hope I'm having a great afternoon, great morning, great evening, wherever you are on our big, beautiful blue planet. You know, I say this every week. I really like being here. I've been doing this show for is this 2026, 28 years, 29 years, somewhere around there. Well, I was a couple of years with Wake Up USA, a UFO study. That was Jeffrey Head was the Stardust Radio Network. 1690 Riverside, Iowa. Yes. No, Jeff, we just had a falling out over. It was Stardust Radio is 1690 Riverside, Iowa, but Stardust Radio owns Wake Up USA. I was just a host, so I used to run a support group, and he used to come in and listen to the support group, and he just called me one day. I got my damn number. He calls me up and says, "Hey, would you like to do a AM radio show?" I was like, "Not really." And he's like, "Well," I said, "Dude, I know about radio. I mean, literally, I knew nothing about radio, podcasts, and any other damn thing for that matter." I mean,
podcasting wasn't even a thing 25, 30 years ago.
We were doing traditional AM radio with a slice of FM on the side, and then we had things like he was hooked up with Pioneer Radio in Hong Kong, which we actually, technically, we took all that over. So that all belongs to the United Public Radio Network now. But he got upset because the guy said, "Well, look, why don't you let me put you on my network as well?" So we were doing all his stuff, but this guy actually offered to pick up a Wake Up USA and carry it on into Hong Kong network and carry it on some other networks. And I don't know, he got upset about it. I never did figure out why. It's not like I was making any money off or anything. So I hosted for him for about 3 years. 150 guests. Everybody who was anybody in the ufology field. Oh, Gene, I was fresh. I was brand new. I mean, my very Jerry. Oh, I can't think of his last name now. He was my very first guest. He was a debunker on the Gulf Breeze sightings. And we had just finished up an investigation. Linda and I had just finished up an investigation on the Gulf Breeze sighting, courtesy of Walt Anders. So when I heard it, I was like, well, invite the guy on and we'll talk about it. Well, he's a little snotty, a little rude, and I was way younger back then. So I was way meaner than I am today. So we got in a fight for 2 hours. I actually texted Linda while the show was going. So I figured this will be my first and only show I do for this guy. I mean, I tore this poor guy up, Jay. I mean, it was embarrassing. I ate his ass for lunch. But I had been doing radio shows, like we were getting invited on things like, come talk on our religious radio show about aliens. So back then, Jason Wilson would come with me, and sometimes November Hansen and Georgia Scott, and we would get on the air, and it was insanity, is what it was. It was way more fun back then than it is today, because at least people were arguing and fighting, and not in a bad way. I mean, to get to the truth. Today, everybody just is vicious, and everything they want to post is bullshit. I get tired of wading through all the bullshit to get. I mean, you got to go through 10 pounds of bullshit to get 1 ounce of truth. I mean, it's ridiculous. Clara, what do you mean? Alien what? Oh, you mean Uncle Sam alien? Don't get me started. Jay's fault. I told Jay, don't give the documents to Uncle Sam. You do, we ain't never going to see him again. And guess what? He gave them to him, and now Uncle Sam's gone. I went through the latest batch of stuff. I haven't seen any video so far that I would consider. Man, I'm gonna get in trouble. Most of the videos I've seen in the second batch remind me of our own like type of drone test and shit. And wait, it gets even worse. So Jay the other day puts this video up of the ones with the 4 boats in the strait. So
yes.
So now they're saying those weren't boats; those were UFOs too.
They were leading a wake, though. There were 3 boats heading across the screen, and then underneath the bottom boat,
they were on an
just above
like
the water. It looks kind of like stupid as it sounds. It kind of looks like Count Dooku on his little scooter in Star Wars.
No, the
Just
first
kinda
time
goes-
I seen it, I thought it was like the scooters they had, when they were in the Ewok world.
Something like that, yeah.
But then I realized maybe it was a Reaper drone because of the way it was moving. It could have been a Reaper because the Reaper's got the weird rounded front that's long and skinny, and the props in the back, so you don't even see it.
Well, then that could suggest that the three things making wakes are probably part of our ghost fleet, perhaps, or perhaps they're tests for a ghost fleet.
It might have been Iranian
vehicle.
boats. I mean, it was in this. It
They were
was
leaving,
over
there were
there.
three of them leaving a clear wake in the water, and one was not, and was
Yeah.
going clearly faster than the other three.
Yeah, and it was close, way closer to the shoreline too. It's no, Jesse. When you see the video, it pissed me off when I seen it last night when it got sent to me. Oh, look, it's 4 UFOs, one moving way faster than the other three. No, the other three because they're not getting UFOs.
They're boats or
boats.
drones. Yes.
I'm pretty sure the Iranian speedboats is what they are. I'd almost bet money on it. That's what they look like because they're only about this big in the film, which suggests they're not real big. Well, to be honest with you,
fishing boat size, something like that.
And in all fairness, a carrier is only about 1 inch long on a radar blip, but a boat like that's like 1/8 inch long. That's how you can tell, or 1/4 inch long.
Or it might even be like a dot.
Yeah, but it's a little more, maybe like a square dot. How's that? That might be a better way of describing it. But it's
like 2 pixels long or 3 pixels long, rectangular.
But you can look at it and see that, and they were leaving a wake. Unless there was some kind of smoke trail, they were leaving a wake. And whatever took the picture, which somebody said was a Reaper drone, was above both sets of everything. And both things underneath it didn't react to whatever it was that was taking the picture. So in other words, if there were boats, they didn't react to. Of course, we only get what is it, like 4 seconds or 8 seconds or something. That might be a little longer. It's not a lot.
It's quick, yeah.
It's no, I think the whole thing lasts less than a minute, Jackie. I could look it up, but I don't have it.
I don't even think it'll last that long. I'd say maybe 20 seconds or so.
Yeah, it was real short. I mean, it was really short.
The thing is, though, is that what that video suggests is there's nothing in it to suggest alien life form, something off the planet. There's no clear actual. They're still unidentified, even though they're on film. We know 3 are boats. What kind of boat? We don't know.
But remember, people, that's what UFO means.
We don't know. We don't know who's operating the boats. I mean, it could be 3 different alien species operating fishing boats in our Great Lakes somewhere. The funny part of it is that it could be ours, it could be theirs, it could be nobody's.
Yeah, it's most of what I've seen though so far, I would say belonged. If it's not ours, it's somebody we're watching. It's not alien though, because they show one where they shoot this thing. This thing blows into like 1 million pieces,
which again probably suggests
it looked like an explosion of a drone. So it looked like somebody hit a drone in the side or something, and it just went.
It could have been a reverse engineered technology that was used as a drone, but yeah, the way that it breaks up, I've only been able to see it twice. I haven't been able to find it again. I've got all the files and I've been trying to go through them, but I haven't seen it more than like 2 or 3 times on television. And it's not like the one where the other one where it hits the UFO and the UFO just kind of blips off course but stays going intact, and the debris from the missile follows the UFO while the missile shoots off screen way off course.
Arison, is that how you say your name? Arison? Question for you, man. If we have all this, I'm sorry, ma'am. I didn't know guy, girl. You can't say it's just a name. Anyway, question for you. If we have all this advanced technology, why are we reverse engineering Iranian drones and Ukrainian drones? Anybody got any answers?
For one thing, you'll find out who's been furnishing them too. You'll find out where they were made.
Yeah, well, Iranian drones are made in Iran. I mean, Iran makes their own drones. Iran's quite good at making drones. So is Ukraine now.
Yeah, that's what they say. But what if, let's say you dissect one and you find out that it's got parts from China and Russia? Then you know.
Well, so just to help everybody out, the very first drone they ever captured was a U.S. Reaper drone. Shot the son of a bitch down inside of Iran. Nothing we could do about it. Yeah, and then they say they have an onboard thing that destroys the advanced technology, but it doesn't matter because they still got the skin for the stealth. They still got the way the engines work. They still got all the controls, all the remote systems on how we run our systems remotely and how we're doing it autonomously. That's a lot of technology to give to Iran because somebody was being stupid.
And at some point in the 80s, they had our, F-14s and F-15s. So, they dissected the hell out of those.
Yeah. Well, we gave them the damn F-14s ourselves. Jimmy, they are refurbing. No. They're not bringing the fleet back. They're just refurbing one F-14. Yeah, they're bringing it back to life. The main reason they got rid of F-14 was just high maintenance plane.
It's because the wings move. That's why.
Yeah, wings move. But it was a lot more than that. I mean, it had a lot more stuff than the F-15 did. It also was designed to take way more stress. So everything had to be. People don't understand. So it's like you take the F-15 and sit it next to the F-14, which is basically the same plane in a lot of ways. If you look at the landing gears, you'll notice that the carrier gear is much hardier than the gear that lands on the runway. I mean, it's much harder. The front wheel itself is usually bigger and thicker, and the shaft coming down is usually 1 inch to 2 inches bigger around than the ones that land on regular concrete because they come in smoother. The carrier, there's a hook that grabs them, so it slams the front end down. It's not just like when you watch a plane landing, because most of y'all have flown, you come in, slide on down nice and peaceful. Like it's not how it works when a carrier. You go,
you've got 10 feet to stop, and that's it.
I mean, it's like I've heard pilots express the fact that it felt like their face was pressed against the canopy.
But they also have to keep their hand on the throttle because just in case they miss those 5 or 6 cables, they'll at some point they're given a signal from ground or the conning tower to gun it, and then they have to go and launch back up off the deck again. Otherwise, they wind up crashing.
Jesse, 3 and 5 of them are successful. Usually, they got a parachute out, and hope like hell that they don't get hung up on something on the carrier. So usually what they do is you'll see them go over the end, and then you're like, oh shit, you know this plane's going on board, and then you'll see like 2 seats come up from in front of the carrier. You're like, oh shit. It's got to scare the crap out of them guys. And then most of the time they go up high enough that it carries them past the carrier and they settle down in the water behind the carrier, and then we send somebody out to get them. But not always. One guy got hung up, caught one of the radar towers going by. He was actually hung up on a radar. He got so lucky. There was just enough line that he was out of the actual dishes. He'd have been in a dish that would have killed him. It would have barbecued his ass. And he was just, you could actually see it had melted all kind of support stuff. It was crazy looking. It's well, Jesse, not all radar waves are friendly.
No, it's like, so if you may not know this, when they were developing the system, the first radar system in England, and I forget the scientist's name, but he had purchased he'd been working all night and he purchased a Hershey bar to take as a snack, and he set it down on the radiotron or whatever it is that emits the radar stuff to get the blips on the screen. He walked away and he came back and his chocolate bar had melted inside the packaging. Like it was all gooey. He's like, what the hell? So from that, they developed the first microwaves, and they were manufactured in America by a company named Amana, and it was called the Amana radar range. They were as big as a regular wall oven, and you would stick it in the wall of your house. You paid probably, I think, in the 58, 59 era when they first came out, I think they were $5,000, $8,000, or $10,000, which is rounded forward to today's prices would have been about $1 million. And so that's how we started our microwaves. Is the radars that we use on our boats and our navies has a device in it called a radiotron that perfectly heats certain foods like vegetables and popcorn.
Whoever used to come up with names back in the 50s should have been slapped. If you ever listen to some of them
radar, so it made sense.
Yeah, when you listen to some of them names, especially some of them old sci-fi movies, you're kind of like, what? Who come up with this shit? Now No, Jesse, they I think it was like 79 or 80. They made them take out all the old what they considered radar ranges. They had to go because they have what they call refractor panels. And back then, it's not like it is today. The way the box is built now, it's almost impossible for it to get you unless you just stick your head in a microwave and turn it on. No, they give off waves because if you have like a pacemaker or something like that, it can interfere with them. But they're not cooking you or anything like that. You're not like the stupid lady who put her poodle in it and tried to dry her poodle. I guess she didn't realize it cooked from the inside out. That had to be an experience. Oh no, it's a true story, Justin. Yeah, it's one of them things. People have done some dumb stuff.
There's some stories of people drying babies in microwaves that way. Yeah, it's a horrible, stupid thing to do.
Anyway, today's microwaves are much different. They're much more compact. They're way more efficient, and they tend to last.
Better shielding. The first men in radar ranges, they didn't realize that it eventually did. Even today with the modern ones, I still wouldn't recommend standing in front of it while it's cooking. Standing there doing it, I wouldn't recommend it. But the older ones, you could. I'm sure there was people losing. If you're watching it, I'm sure it would affect your eyes. If you're standing in the room, it would affect your skin and blood pressure for sure.
Jesse, hey, what did you send me this for? Oh, the radar range. Okay, from 1947 to 79. Yeah, see, 79. That makes perfect sense. That's when they wanted them out because 80s was the start of the regulation era. They went hog wild with regulations all over the place in the 80s. Thank God they couldn't figure out a way to regulate UFOs. We were paying tax on all of it. You think I'm kidding you? I'm not, man. They were just tax crazy.
They tried to figure out a way to tax air, and if they could, they would.
Janice, I never heard Tesla talk about the microwave oven. Now, I'm not saying he didn't. I have never heard him any of his works where he talks about microwave ovens. I'm sure he's talked about microwaves because microwaves are used in a lot of transmissions, and he definitely believed in wireless transmissions. Because you can beam power, so you can put solar dishes in space and beam microwaves directly to the house. So you wouldn't even have to have a collection station, but you could. I mean, you could just have one collection station so you don't have microwaves beaming all over the place.
Well, the other problem is anything, particularly biological, that flies in the path of that beam could be incinerated.
Yeah, so you'd have to take some precautions for that. So that's why you can't have them all over the place. But no, the original reason why they didn't want to do it was they didn't have a way to meter it. Yes.
It was because Tesla's idea was to make it free, and Edison's version was done in such a way that you could put a meter on it. So they went with Edison.
Yeah, Jimmy, all I do is record the amount of power that passes through the box. That's all I did.
But you can't do that when the power is transmitted wirelessly.
Yes. Well, today you might be able to, Jimmy. You might be able to.
Maybe today digital equipment, maybe. But yeah, you really, I mean, for the 40s and 50s era, you would need a physical wire in order to put a tester upon it to see what the charge is from source to, end.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. They, I don't know why we're talking about it, but they had combinations. They were regular ovens and radar ranges. Yeah. They had a combination of just. Actually, you could still get them today if you want to, but most people go with the over the stove version.
Yeah, you can get one. It's in the wall. You can get one, and they come in various sizes, but you can get them from like the dormitory size ones to as big as your stove for overhead hood, or as big as a wall stove to put, multiple things in to either rewarm and whatnot on, actually, Thanksgiving meals and have you.
So generally, Jimmy, the overheads are going to be 30 inches for the most part because that's the most size of the hood ranges, but of the hoods. But they'll go up to
36s, but you're talking custom sizes there.
Yeah, well, no, I mean 36. I mean they make them in that size. 36 is just you had to have that kind of.
Most of the home centers don't carry anything over 30, 32.
Yeah, you generally got to order.
Yeah.
Well, It's okay, Jesse. So the microwave you have to order. The hood you can actually get at one of the appliance stores. They'll have the hoods in stock, but the microwaves are just because most people just don't put that big of a microwave, and a lot of people will put like spacers on the sides and put the regular 30-inch in there, and have like drawer sets or something on the sides. Well, because because they have big stoves. I mean, 5-burner stove is usually more than 30 inches. So because most people's stoves are only 30 inches wide. What do you mean? How do I know this? That's a contractor. I owned a damn construction company.
I know because I spent 10 years working in home improvement centers, and so I know the products as well.
But anyway, we're getting away from that anyway. Hey, how you doing? It's no, there's always set standards for everything, and then there's custom stuff. Custom always costs more. Well, it's like the people, we're gonna talk about this on Friday, but it's like the people who like to get organic food and grass-fed beef and pay extra for it. And I always look at them like, why are you just stupid? And they're like, oh, but Joe, it's organic. I said, yeah, do you know what organic means? It means it has nothing. It's not being fed properly. It's getting grass or whatever kind of grass is in the yard it's got. It's probably not even getting hormones or shots or any other damn thing. So you're getting, the reason beef costs more, any food costs more, is because it's being fed special feed, so the beef is richer and fatter. I mean, you don't want a black Angus that's not at least halfway grain fed, especially like in a sweet molasses. It gives it a much better flavor. But the point being is, if you're not getting any of that stuff, then what are you paying extra for? You should be paying less. Anything organic should cost you less. Just keep that in mind. Yes. If it's organic, it should cost less, not more. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. They don't even spray it for insects. They don't even treat it for anything.
No, they don't. And the meat comes out a little, because I tried it one time, and I think it was $8.99 or $9.99 for the pound. And it came in a little square, like vacuum sealed square plastic, packaging. And it was not red, it was pink. When it cooked, it started to turn gray before it turned brown. And then it tasted like grass.
Yeah, a lot of it does. That's the other problem.
Literally, like if you went outside after everyone cut the grass and chewed it off the ground, it tasted exactly like
it's the hardest thing to make. The average person just doesn't realize the beef they're eating has a particular flavor because that's how it's done. So when we were kids, we raised a lot of cows, a lot of hogs, a lot of chickens, and a bunch of my uncles owned ranches and shit. But so we had alfalfa grass for part of the year, then regular grass, and then we had but they would always be, the last 6 months of their lives, last 9 months really, they'd always be offsetting their food with this really pretty sweet smelling molasses. It's like 9 grains. And it was really good. And it really and you could tell a difference from beef on this and not on this. It was way prettier, way healthier, way tastier. And they still do that today because that's what it hogs too. I mean, most animals, when they go to take them to slaughter, they're going to give them these grains until their pooping has no green colors or anything like that in it. Anything that was left from, feeding in the grass, they basically purify their system. And they do this for a while. And yeah, Chris, my uncles used to do that. They used to feed them mushmallows until they pooped golden colored. Yes. I mean, that hog meat was, oh man, that stuff was delicious. But anyway, that's just one of those things. Maybe that's why the aliens like, to take our cows.
Hey, real quick, just to close out, Heidi, try the 85-15 and you don't drain it because it doesn't get as greasy, or do the 90-10, but don't drain it. They always tell you, drain the meat, drain the fat out. Well, what you're doing is you're pouring out any flavor. So if it gets really gooey, like it's a pool, spoon out some of it, but leave most of it in there, and then put your taco seasoning in. I guarantee you'll have 500% better tacos if you don't pour out all the flavor.
Oh yeah, you know that. Actually, Reese, I like the 80-20. The 90-10 to me is too lean. It's got a tendency
80-20 can be a little greasy for tacos, though. I like it for hamburgers.
Look, if it ain't dripping out the taco, it's not a taco. It's like a roast beef. If it's not dripping out the bread, it's not a roast beef, people. Oh my God, you damn Yankees don't know how to eat food. I'm coming to spend some time up north and teach y'all how to eat. Jay won't be
I
yet back.
was born in the South.
I was getting ready to say you got at least some training because you was in the South for a while, but you done lost some of that. You've been up in Yankee land so long. It ain't going away. It's it's Wednesday. What are you talking about? We're gonna get back on topic anyway. But
yeah, we ought to get back onto it.
It's
So, but the background Heidi enjoyed it is AI generated with various alien species representing various god representations of our planet. Thor, who is that? That's a Babylonian one in the middle there with the flying tiger. And I don't know who the gray or the tall gray is representing, but that's a pretty fantastic weapon. He may be Greek or Roman.
Yeah, I got into it with some big.
The middle one is definitely Sumerian. That is for sure, 100%.
I had to embarrass Greer and his cronies today.
Stephen Greer?
Oh yeah. So they start on that what's his face, Crush guy.
David Grush, yeah.
Yeah, Grush. Yeah, I'm like, dude, why do you keep? I said, why do you keep bringing this guy up to me? He's like, oh, he's this witness, and he's the greatest witness. And I'm like, why is he the greatest witness? Explain to me what am I missing?
He's not a witness. He's not
a witness. That's what I let him go and going on. I said, okay, first off, I said, before we go any further, let me explain. He's not a witness. He has no firsthand knowledge of anything. I said,
he even says that in all of his interviews.
He does. And he repeatedly tells you the majority of his information is third hand. It's not even second hand. So yes, third hand
would be stuff he's read or seen. And
so no, he's got some second hand where he's got some second hand where somebody that was working on an experiment told him this, that, or the other thing, or he read something that gave him. But he has more third hand where the friend of Bob told me about it, or the friend of Heidi told me about it. So her delicious tacos. But it wasn't really taco, it was a damn gray alien. Anyway, getting back on track. So they having this big discussion about these aliens and how the government knows about these aliens. I'm like, the government knows about these aliens. So I asked a question. So he was there. The Grush guy was actually there, and whatever the thing was today, the what do they call it? It's like a chat, but it's not. They got a name for it. It's like Zoom, but it's Concord or Encore, whatever the hell it's called, Accord or anyway, something like that. They sent me the invite, so I went, and so he's there, he's going on and Greer and so finally Greer goes, well, the government says they know all about the grays, and Crush says, oh yeah, and this guy told me how to graze. Look, he starts describing a gray, and I was real quiet, and I was behaving, and I let him talk for I don't know about 10-12 minutes. I said, oh dude, I said now I got to talk now. I said I got a few cases that we've investigated over the years. He said, oh, how many is it? Few? I said 144,000. I said across about 1,500, 1,800 investigators. I said it might even been more than that in investigators, to be honest with you. But anyway, I said very first thing we learned, and I can't tell you how many hours of contactees and how many regressions and polygraphs and voice stress analysis we've been through to find out that the bleeping grays are not gray. Not gray at all. I said they can. They're not
even green, as in the little green men.
I said they can look translucent. So I guess if they got a gray backdrop behind them, they might look a little gray, but they're not gray like what you described.
Yeah, I think the better term than translucent is iridescent.
Yeah, that probably is a better term for it.
Yeah.
Well, because you can't see all the way through them. They're iridescent because when you look at them, it's like you can see.
You don't have to use much of your imagination to see the structures underneath. Yeah,
it's like the top layers of skin are clear, but you're not like seeing bones. That's why everybody says they think they have their cartilage, because you're not seeing bone or anything like that. You're not even seeing blood.
We wouldn't see bone first off anyway. You'd see, the underlying muscle structure first, or maybe some veinage as well.
Corpuscles and stuff like that, and vessels. But you're not seeing none
veins
of
that. Veins and arteries. Yes.
Yeah. So the grays are actually built quite differently than we are. It's like I guess maybe it's like
if you describe a biological reference to them, you would expect to see directly into the skin. You probably wouldn't see the corpuscles. I think they're microscopic, but you would see arteries, veins. You may see the nerve networks. You may not necessarily see the nerves itself, but you might see discoloration where the nerves make their
Well,
through
actually,
the muscle layer, and then you see the muscles.
What the researchers are saying is it looks like liver. So when you look at their arm, there's no blood vessels and there's no cartilage, there's no bones, there's no wiggly squiggly things hanging around, no blood vessels, anything, no nerves. It's just a piece of meat and it's got like pockets going through it, or air pockets, I guess, or tubes, whatever you want to call them. But they don't look like they're carrying anything. And if they are, it's clear or it's in an air form. So it's like cartilage that is connected through air lines. I don't know how to explain it. It doesn't even make any sense to me. You can't really explain it when it makes no sense at all.
They could have a circulatory system that's based on a pneumatic system rather than a hydraulic system like we are.
Yeah, it's just they're definitely way different than we are all the way around. But regardless, so
hence the word alien.
Yeah, so he said something, and I said, "Well, what about their eyes?" He said, "Well, their eyes are so big, and when they blink, you can see the thing like go over." I'm like, dude,
nictating membrane.
I'm like, so what you're telling me?
Actually, there.
I said, you're telling me that this eye is this big because that's what I put on the screen, and it was like an eyelid that went over it like that and back. He said, well, they kind of crossed each other. I'm like, I said, what if I tell you that's an eye patch? He's like, what are you talking about? I said, there's an eye underneath that. And I said, it's about the size of a silver dollar. I mean, $50. They're bigger than eyes, but they're not those big. I said, those things are one to protect their eyes from the light on our planet because it's much more intense here.
And they also contain a computer AI type heads-up display.
So I said, you ever see them little fancy glasses you can get now for the kids and all? I said, just think of something like that powered by an extraterrestrial.
But it's a contact lens.
I said they
fits over your eye.
Yeah, they can see in all kind of ranges, all kind of colors. I mean, really, dude, it's just
ultraviolet.
It's just a really advanced eyepiece, is what it is.
It would be like having Geordie's visor, but you can also see from the visible spectrum and all the way up that way and all the way down that way. You can literally see the radiation, pouring through space with these lenses.
And then he starts telling me about the clothes and these outfits they're wearing. I'm like, wow, really? So, dude, it sounds like something out of the bleeping 50s, man. He's going on. I said, well, what if I told you that like Greys can't wear clothes because it keeps them from breathing? They absorb their air and food through osmosis through their skin. Mm-hmm. I said, and that which means they couldn't wear outfits like we did. Also,
at least not for long periods of time, anyway.
Well, more so than that, everybody says the Greys don't feel temperatures. They said they stand in the snow up to their asses as much as standing in a volcano. They don't feel the temperatures. It's like they're protected from it. And I'm not 100% positive that there's not some type of micro membrane around the Greys, something that seems to protect them. Because
they also are technological, so they may also have a device they wear on around their neck or wrist, or that they carry in their hand that protects them from also these elements. Yeah, it could be a suppository. They might have their own anal probes that protect them from exterior
anal probe.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense if they've come here from distant galaxies to probe us. Why wouldn't they probe themselves first?
Correct. I mean,
make sure it works, right? You can't just go out in the universe and go, oh, it doesn't work. Well, try it on us. Hey,
according to the Gresh guy, we've got like 75 UFOs and 80 bodies and all kind of shit. So first off, I got to wonder where are these aliens at that they're letting us keep all their UFOs in their bodies. That just bothers me.
Why do they keep crashing here on Earth?
And what I'm thinking about is, well, who was getting the bodies in the UFOs before we were? Because they've been here a long, long time. The Greys we know have been here at least 3,000 years, but the reptilians have been here longer.
Germany, perhaps.
I'm thinking. I don't think they crash every time they come over here. And
Stephen Greer seems to think that they have a problem operating in our atmosphere. And the thing is, like we were just talking about, with their ability to, let's just say, ignore natural elements, including being able to wade through a volcano as if it was a, afternoon pond going fishing. Their technology and their advanced level of just whatever they can do, they probably could travel straight through our sun and their spaceship wouldn't even, get a scorch mark on it.
We know NASA.
If we were to do that, we would incinerate before we even got within, I think, 20 miles?
Yeah, we don't have anything.
Yeah, we all of our shit would burn up 20 miles. Pardon my French. Would
I'm
burn up before it got
you
to
said
the sun.
that. On a really weird segue, we'll go sideways. So NASA said them and Russia may have gave up on the Venus probes too early. They think at least 7 of them lived much longer than they thought.
Wow. So which one of them's going to send another one up? I mean, Russia sent them like I think 27 or 22 or something like that.
I don't know now, but it was weird to hear them even admit to that.
How many probes did the Russians send to Venus?
Fuck about there, dude. Go look it up.
The Soviet Union sent a total of 18 probes to Venus as part of their Venera program.
They were wanting to go live on Venus.
If you can tackle the greenhouse effect, I think the upper atmosphere is, what do they say, 400 millibars pressure?
They say it's identical to ours. They said the complete of that's what started all of this. So the very first time they were going through the upper atmosphere, it was identical to Earth's upper. There was just no difference. The guy said that he thought something was wrong with the probe at first. Maybe they set something wrong, and then the Russians confirmed it. The upper atmosphere, and it's not even that either. So the upper atmosphere, and then there's an atmosphere further down. There's another one. The one in between, they think there's something alive in there. Some type of, the guy called like a balloon bird. Anyway, there's this weird clip. One of the probes that looks like a jellyfish, but in air. I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of big kind of looks like an octopus, actually, kind of big on top, and it narrows down like this, and then it's got this thing underneath it. And but it was floating. It wasn't swimming. So they actually think there's, and now the first, and then now NASA's come out and said, we're pretty sure there's freaking life on Mars, and well, they said they killed the first time.
Yeah. So they incinerated whatever's on Mars, but for Venus, they've been saying for years, even when I was in grade school and high school, that they're fairly 99.999 almost sure there's biology on Venus, and the only reason why they say this is because of these 18 probes, and well, I mean, I don't know how many we sent, but they are certain that the greenhouse effect of gases on the planet is from biological sources, whether that's plant or mold or mildew or fungus.
Well, let's be honest.
But something of that sort.
Well, we know that there's life all around the black smokers in the ocean. They're all over the place. Yes. And we know there's life that lives on the bottom of the volcanoes, like in Hawaii and places like that.
And on the walls of volcanoes.
Yeah. So
inside the permafrost in Alaska, there's things that are alive.
But that's one of the things that helps to prove to scientists that life is normal, not abnormal. Science always wants to tell you, oh, life is exception.
Can exist on the external skin of the International Space Station for, we don't know how long, but more than 7 days.
Yeah. And
then return to Earth, apparently undamaged, changed, or dead. They're actually able to breed and increase their population while on the skin of the ISS in outer space, exposed to all that radiation and whatnots. Think about that.
No, they found it by accident, Gene. Yeah, they actually, what they found is somehow this stuff was being picked up in our atmosphere and thrown out into space and attaching itself to the shuttle, which no one thought was possible right off. And then secondly, no one thought it could live in space, which it did. It still is. No, they had to clean the damn whatchamacallits.
There was water collecting on the outside of portals and glass windows. Which I don't think it was interrupting their science.
I know they had to go clean the solar panels there.
But they had to also go out and clean the water off of because they didn't know where this water was coming from. But eventually they started looking at the water microscopically, and there's tardigrades alive. So then they started bringing them up and doing experiments with them.
They because we've learned things can live in space now. So if you can live in space, you can live anywhere. If you can live in the ocean, you can live in space, you can live anywhere. So
well, the theory of panspermia is irrelevant and void if biology cannot exist in space. Now that we know that biological things can exist in space, panspermia is 100% possible or probable, whatever the word word is.
There are things. So like, what is that? Cirrus in that crater. No, it's not. They don't call it Ceres. They call it Ceres or something. That asteroid planet thing.
The asteroid is Ceres. It's Ceres. Ceres.
Yeah, but that's not how the science pronounces it. They pronounce them. I was listening to them today. They were pronouncing it differently.
Maybe it's Ceres. I don't know. Yeah.
I don't. But I ain't argue with you. It's not worth it. But anyway, they were talking about because they took a chunk. That there was life. They said there's no doubt that all the chemical, everything you need was there. He said it's in the middle. Matter of fact, they had said this in the past that they thought this thing might just be a block of life-giving stone just out in the universe.
Yeah, like amino acids or something. Not necessarily like a breathing thing.
No, Jimmy, no. Yeah, it's the one that glows. Yeah, they can't figure out. They still don't know why it glows. They've been the damn thing. Yeah, they don't know what it is. They've argued back and forth. Yes, I seen the report that 3i Atlas flared up and did all kind of shit, but I thought it was outside of our solar system now. So I'd have to check to make sure those reports are real.
Hey, Google, is 3i Atlas outside of our heliosphere?
No, 3i Atlas is not outside the heliosphere.
Yeah, but it's on the other side of the sun.
It's an interstellar object passing through our solar system. It is currently located within the heliosphere, which extends far beyond the orbits of the planets.
So it's still in our immediate vicinity, if you will.
No, they can't see it. It can't be that good in our vicinity. That's the whole point. Remember when it was leaving last time? It's past the sun going the other direction. It's on the other side of the sun from us. It's not exactly around the corner. The reason I was curious about it because last I had heard we couldn't observe it anymore. Remember, we were talking about sending out a probe to follow it or to catch up with it because we couldn't see it anymore. So I want to know how they're seeing it to be flaring up.
Well, if it's behind our sun, yeah, we would have difficulty seeing it with our instruments.
Yeah, we quit watching this thing, Jesus, like 6 months ago. It might have been longer than that.
Yeah, well, there's been, I don't think there's been any news on it in at least that long. Yeah.
Yeah. All I remember hearing was that first they had some weird signal, but it was going to be passing out where we couldn't see it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a while back. I mean, that was a good while back. What's that, Chris? Well, I don't know. Maybe we'll get to see another one of these. At least they caught this one fairly early. They got to watch it longer. Remember, Muamua? They barely even had time to know it was coming through.
Well, because Muamua came in on a tangent. So here's the ecliptic plane. This is where all the planets rotate around the sun, which would be like about where my knuckles are. So all the planets are doing that where my fingers and wrist are. Oumuamua came in at a tangent this way to the ecliptic. 3i Atlas came in at the ecliptic, like directed towards where the planets are, whereas Oumuamua came from a steep angle above us. So, but both seem to have been aimed at the inner planets.
Yeah, because they both leveled out to the plane.
Yes.
Jesse, they didn't end up going exactly the same direction, and they didn't come. So two of the comets came from the same direction, and the other one didn't. The other one came from the direction of the WOW signal.
I think that was Oumuamua, and the other two came from where either the Pleiades or the Zeta Reticuli system was.
They said they believe now that it's not even from our galaxy.
No,
they think it's from a different galaxy. Well, Jesse, something to do with the material, the composition of it. They don't think it's from the Milky Way.
The physics it exhibited, it came from a place where physics clearly was operating on a different platform.
Well, Jimmy, it could have been one of the galaxies we're eating. It could have been a rock that just passed, that got caught up in the Milky Way's galaxy itself. There's a lot of shit floating around in space.
It could be an exotic metal that has never been discovered before that shot through here. There are a lot of when solar systems form, all the heavy stuff finds its way in towards the center and becomes the sun, and then the next heavy stuff becomes the inner planets, and then the next lighter stuff becomes the outer planets, and then the next lighter stuff becomes your Oort clouds and whatever's left over that doesn't form into a planet. It doesn't have enough specific gravity to be attracted into a planet forming system. That's our Oort cloud. That's how things happen. All the heavy stuff in our solar system is in our sun and these 3 inner planets. Everything else out there, that's why Saturn, Jupiter, Uranus, and Neptune, they're nothing but gas. They don't have very much solid material to them. And they're, where most of their solid material is in their rings. And all 4 of them have rings.
Yeah, poor Saturn's not going to have rings much longer then.
Yeah, they're being absorbed by the planet.
That and some of the moons are absorbing them. And yeah, they were showing stuff just going through, soaking up all the stuff from the rings.
It's kind of like the elliptical creation disk that planets are formed from, that we're seeing is the kind of in reverse. Is it's still, the planets are formed and whatever's left over is finally getting absorbed. Some of the guys I've done research, well, not research with, but talked about these phenomenon with the Strongs in Australia. They kept telling me that planet Earth is growing each year, not by much, inches and centimeters, but I was like, no, it's not. And they're like, yeah, think about all the material that's falling on the planet every day. Every day there are things the size of pebbles and stones hitting the Earth. Whether they burn up in the atmosphere or not, material it turns into something else. Eventually it accumulates, little tiny rocks. And then we have rocks like the size of a heart or the size of your fist that fall every week. And then there's things that are about the size of bowling balls that fall every 2 weeks, and things about the size of a Volkswagen fall at least once a month. So over time, accumulated material will eventually make the planet bigger in circumference. I didn't believe them at first. I thought they were nuts. I'm like, you gotta be. And then I thought about it logically. Like, yeah, you're right. It has to be true.
Well, they argue right now that we pick up between 2 centimeters and 2 inches of water every year.
Probably so. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, Jack, a lot of those rocks he's talking about have water locked up inside of them. Yeah. Well, that's how they think the octopus got here. They think the octopus was locked inside of a rock, and
possibility for other creatures, sea creatures as well.
They're actually thinking
stuff way down at the bottom.
They're actually thinking, like, if you've ever seen octopuses breed, they think there was like a cluster of them inside this rock, and when the rock hit the ocean and split, they all came out and started having baby octopuses. Octopuses are weird. They got 9 brains, dude. 9 brains. Technically, they got 1 big brain and 8 smaller brains, but still, it's 9.
And I do believe their blood is blue. Hey,
it
Google,
blue.
What color is the blood of an octopus?
It's blue. It's a blue blood. Come on, Google. That's an easy one. She's having a cardiac. Electronic problems. No, they have blue blood, James. They really.
The lights are flashing though.
Technically, humans have blue blood too.
Is blue because it contains a copper-based protein called hemocyanin to transport oxygen.
Yeah, it's blue.
It's definitely blue. James, ours is blue, but only because it lacks oxygen.
When it lacks oxygen, it turns blue. When it hits oxygen, it turns red.
What I just don't be correcting me when I just said that. Damn, smack him somebody.
Well, no, I was going to say the reason it turns red is we're iron based and the octopus is copper based, so it wasn't born here.
Yeah. So no, Jimmy, our blood is blue because there's no oxygen in it. As it goes through the body, it turns blue as the oxygen's being taken out of it, and then it's pushed back through the lungs, and it turns red again because it's reoxygenated. Yes, that's how our body works. Look at your own veins
and I think our veins are clear. If you look at your skin, I think our veins are clear. That's why they're red and blue. When the blood's oxygenated, it turns red.
Just look around your own. Trust me, you can go get a little map out and look on your own body, find it for yourself. Go. Never mind, I'm not going to say that aloud, but I was going to say something.
Ask your next time you go see your doctor. Ask them; they'll tell you all about it.
What do you mean, Frank? No, the Gresh guy is just
he's this decades or this century's Giorgio Tsoukalos. He hasn't witnessed any of this stuff. He's heard all the different stories, or he's read about all of this stuff, and he hasn't brought to light anything shocking, new, or concrete.
I mean, he said that they got at least 4 different types of aliens. They got more than 75 of the Greys, at least that many of their spaceships. I mean, come on, guys. We had 75 Grey spaceships. We'd be flying to some bitches ourselves.
I can't believe some of his numbers, but he's not saying anything. I've known about 4 or 5 or 6 different species visiting this planet over the last several decades. Right now, it is currently at 4 because one of the 5th one is somewhere else.
Well, the light beams don't actually physically come here, so that's an old wives' tale.
That's what I mean. They're not on they're somewhere else.
You know who they are. You know who they remind me of was it on Babylon 5, the Vorlon, because they can break a piece of themselves off and put it in somebody.
Yeah, or like the cocoon people from the aliens.
Yeah,
from
but
Cocoon,
as far as their cells, no. If a light beam tried to get into a human, they would disintegrate us. we would be dust. People, these are beings that are probably pure plasma of some kind, and have been in this state for a very long time, long enough that the galaxy they lived in died, and they moved into this one. That means they're billions.
Or created it if they have that power. I mean, they allegedly.
Regardless,
I mean, they don't know if they changed the Greys or created them from scratch, but whatever they did, they enhanced the Greys to a point that they're almost like them.
According to contactees that talked to both, said the same thing, that when the light beams emerged from their galaxy, that they found this one was in. There was 300 or 400 worlds at war. They were just devastating. And they decided at that point, I guess they scanned the area and found the Greys and went to the Greys and enhanced the Greys. Not only did they enhance them, but from what I understand, they mass produced them. Went from like a race of 1 billion to 100 billion, and instantly was all over the cosmos with psychic abilities far beyond any of the other races, except for maybe the light beings and whatever super races we don't know about. But as far as the everyday races, no, their abilities were far beyond. And it bothered me because in the beginning I was always taught that, look, the Greys are Serbian, they're here to work, they're little slavers, they do whatever they're told, blah, 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 blah. And then we find out, girl says, well, Joe, first time I seen a Grey with a human, but its head down and looked at its feet. He said, Joe, you realize that human was like almost 8 foot, had to be close to 500 pounds. This Grey is like 3.5 feet. And maybe 80 pounds, and he goes to look at the human. The human just looks straight. And I mean, he would not stop looking at his feet. He said, I had the intense feeling that he was scared of this little Grey.
Mm-hmm.
And here I am cursing the Grey and spitting at it and stuff. Oh, shit. But you've heard reptilian contactees say the same thing. When the Greys are present, no matter what size the Grey is, the reptilian is always subservient. It puts its head down. They say they put their heads down and bow back as a sign of respect because because for some reason, if they lock eyes with the Greys, whatever the first thing that pops into their head is probably something the Grey is not going to like you little blink, blank, blanky, ranky, brunkety Grey thing.
Or the reptile might see something he doesn't like, more likely.
Yeah, yes. And then the Grey just melts him. Says, oh, well, I'm going to melt your brain real quick. Oh, what's your name again? Did you know you were a human? You look like a reptilian, but you're really a human. Let's send you to Earth, see what happens. David, I've never been a fan of Greer's because I learned stuff about Greer early on that really, really bothered me.
Like, why did he submit why did he surrender his license to practice medicine?
Yeah, why did he give up such a lucrative job at the New York hospital?
As an ER doctor, yeah. I mean, that's a 12 to 18-hour shift. Probably he would be getting paid hundreds of dollars an hour while he's in the hospital. So why would you give up that license?
I don't know what went on there. And then he got in the field, and the first thing he says, there's 54 types of aliens or 51 types of, I'm like, Jesus, really? Where are they?
Yeah.
I couldn't even find 51 types of spacecraft, much less 51 types of aliens.
Now, there are rumors of 51, 80, 60, 120 different species in this neighborhood of the galaxy, but again, it's strictly rumor. But some of these files that are coming out only speak about 4 alien species, not 51, not 60, no mention yet of a galactic federation or the Prime Directive.
Well, I've heard
kind of stuff affecting us.
I've heard the Greys, reptilians, and humans talk about a collective, a very large one, but we're not a member. We're not even considered up for a member. We're just a race that's allowed to view sometimes. No, Dean, they talk about a lot of contactees talk about being allowed to view the proceedings on the water planet, but humans aren't members. Matter of fact, they said there's several races there that are not members. They're just allowed to watch. Because I imagine for the first 200 years or 300 years.
Who watches the watchers?
Well, what I'm saying is that they're probably just allowing them to watch because over time, their kids are going to probably be the ones that actually end up working there. And, well, we don't know how long contactees are going to live if they take them off world. If you're living on Earth, you're going to live whatever your lifespan is, and then you're going to die. Well, it's not that they can't come get you. They can. The Greys can easily take your consciousness just like they do their own and upload it into a body. They could even upload it into a gray body if they wanted to. I just don't think we have the facilities to work one.
So how did they invest themselves as our gods? Did they project
actually
hallucinations, or did they invade? Did they possess human bodies that looked like Thor and Zeus and Hercules? We have all these stories of the demigods and the gods not doing all these fantastic, wonderful things. And I've always thought about this. This the Sumerian Enuma Elish. This is the first alleged written human text. Well, it reads like Star Wars. Why would the first things you write be about a science fiction story of space beings coming to Earth? And it makes no sense. The first writing should be like, this is how we hunt an aurak.
Well, one of the problems with all that's true. But one of the problems with all this is Thor and the Anunnaki and almost all the aliens are based on us. So we know that's not true, but they are. I mean, the way they behave, the way they act, the way they look. They may be bigger than us and maybe
tendencies, yes.
Yes, but they're all us, or we're all them regardless. So that makes you right off the bat want to go really, because just the other day, a gentleman who works in the government came out and said, he said, the real problem is for y'all is aliens are real. He said, but they don't look like nothing you can even, he said, there is no human alive today that can't even imagine he said, they don't look like anything like us. He said, they don't act anything like us. They don't look anything like us. They're completely and utterly different.
Hence the word alien.
And hence the word alien, which is probably, so this is what you people forget, ladies and gentlemen. We're raised on this planet, all 8 billion of us. Now, we may have different governments and we may have different beliefs, but basically we're raised the same way. Okay, looking at the same skies, understanding the same lies, dealing with the same politics. We're basically those kind of people, but take us and go find a race somewhere else in the solar system or in a galaxy that's the same age as us, but was raised on a different planet with different colors and different rules. And, just because we grew up as 200 different countries does not mean that other planets started that way. If the Europeans would have just held on to everything, this would have been a one world government 4,000 years. Well, it wouldn't have been the Europeans then. But if the Middle Easterners would have held on to Persians, this would have been a united planet 5,000 years ago. But we're not. And today we're not even close to being united. Would you want, if you were an advanced alien race, would you really want humans as part of your Congress? We're even our own country's trying to kick people out that aren't native born, but yet we want to go be on a council for some alien race somewhere. No, man, come on. I don't care if you like Greer, James. People, look, I never tell people what to believe in, who to believe in, what to believe. All I say is check people out thoroughly. The things that hurt Greer are, one, he charges for everything he does. Two, he has, and you don't take my word for this, he probably still does it today. He charges between $6 and $10,000 to take you out to have a extraterrestrial psychic experience. No real ETs now, okay? They're going to be there psychically. And he'll usually take about 10 people. Anywhere from 8 to a dozen people. If it's only $6,000, it's $60,000 he made for 2 hours, 3 hours. And you can bet your ass 99% of all those people going are older people, probably retired people. And now you know why I don't like Dr. Greer. And that, and he won't come clean about his doctor stuff, which irritates me too. He's been asked 100 times. There was a lot of rumors came out about why he left New York General, and there was a lot of stuff in the papers about him in New York General. But you know, in all fairness to Greer, and I'm giving him a hard time, but I've known several really well-off people who just got involved in UFOs and gave their life up. A friend of mine, Gregory Avery, which I haven't talked to in a decade or so, he's a dog master. Good.
Check this out. I found something here. May 6, 2025. No, this is new. I haven't looked in a while, so this is bombshell allegations against Stephen Greer. This changes everything. So maybe we should look at this.
Yeah, go ahead. You got it open now. You don't say it. You got to say it now.
Let me get the screen going. Looks like there's a video.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so I might have to be careful. Oop, wrong screen.
Anybody watches on the YouTube, let us know if we get kicked in the ass.
Okay, so yeah, it is a video. Let's read first. Dr. Stephen Greer has been a notable figure in discussions about UFOs and alleged government secrecy, attracting both strong supporters and vocal critics. I almost said violent critics. Recent online conversations and podcast appearances have reignited debate about his background, highlighting questions about his work at the Baha'i World Center, his medical qualifications, and his involvement in various controversies. Questions have also emerged about the validity of his claims and the extent of his connections, including speculation about links to intelligence organizations and high-profile individuals. These discussions prompt a closer look at Dr. Greer's career, public persona, and the evidence behind these persistent rumors. All right, let's take a look at this thing.
What's up, Vetters? Patrick here with Vetted. I have an absolutely crazy video for y'all today. It seems that Dr. Stephen Greer may be a double agent working for Mossad, Israeli's secret service. That's according to a guest on a recent episode of the Danny Jones podcast. And please hit that like button, Vetters. That really helps out the videos. And of course, if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe
because you got 12 minutes on here.
To 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I think we can do it. All right, so let's jump in with the first part of this clip, and I'll see you on the other side.
Some of the stuff Greer says is so crazy, and he's like a guy who he's really easy to dismiss.
I've got that printout papers there for you.
Which ones?
It should be below the rain sown stuff.
These.
Yeah, if you want to pull that up.
But like, I mean, he's been on this stuff for so long.
He has, and he's never produced anything of actual worth. There you go. There's a good one. I thought you might appreciate that. May not be something you want to put.
Emily and Stephen Greer, Haifa, Israel. Emily Kramer and Stephen Greer were married Saturday at Baha'i World Center. The bride is the daughter of Miss Douglas Kramer of Palm Beach, Florida, and the late Dr. Cromler. She graduated from the University of Pennsylvania and received a master's degree in occupational therapy from Boston University. She was employed by the Peace Corps in Barbados. The bridegroom is the son of Mr. and Mrs. James Greer of 1201 Princeton Avenue. He attended the Appalachian State University and is employed in the Information Processing Department at Baha'i World Center. After a trip through Israel, the couple will live in Haifa and work at the Baha'i World Center.
Yeah, that's the original marriage notice. Baha'i was regarded as an intelligence gathering operation for Mossad.
Oh, you're saying Greer worked for Mossad?
And Stephen Greer worked for these people.
And he worked for them. He started with those people. Wow. Then he got.
This is before he was an emergency room doctor.
You know, I've done a lot of research on Stephen Greer. I don't want to make any claims that get me in any kind of trouble about Stephen Greer, but it doesn't look to me like he had enough time to even do medical school and a residency. And certainly the old newspaper articles don't refer to him as Dr. Greer. It's like he goes right into UFO stuff. So if he worked, there's indication he worked for a very short time at a small hospital in Western North Carolina, and then went directly into shilling UFOs for Rockefeller.
Holy shit.
Now, if you go to the next page, that's one you might not want to.
Yeah, don't say
that. No, you don't want to say
Why
that.
can't I say it?
Okay,
right.
It's your podcast, man.
And stay with me because there's more to this clip that we'll get to in just a moment. But
Yeah, we're gonna
let's
get right
break
to it,
this
buddy.
down
Oh,
first.
there it is.
All right. So basically, the gist is, and when I looked online, there says there's quote no evidence of this, Baha'i World Center being involved with Mossad whatsoever. Right? Okay, that's what Google says. Well, I did a little more digging, and I'm not saying this is definitive, but I found this news clip.
Arrested on suspicion of spying for Israel in Iran's northern Mazandaran province. Now, the Iranian news agency is reporting that 2 of the heads of the organization were trained at the World House of Justice located in the Baha'i Center in Haifa. Now, it's alleged they set up a spy.
I don't know if you're ready for this.
Holy shit.
Now, if you go to the next page,
Sounds like Joe Rogan there when he does it. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Don't say
rights.
No, you don't want to say
Why can't I say it?
Okay.
Rights.
It's your podcast, man.
Rights of homosexuals, opposite opinions, the National AIDS Hysteria Awareness Test. Okay. We thank you for publishing Associated Press coverage of the October 11th March on Washington for gay and lesbian civil rights. However, as part of our 75 marchers from Asheville, we would like to correct the important inaccuracy. Okay, so what is this about?
So that's an op-ed piece that Stephen Greer wrote about himself, and you can see the highlighted portions there.
Okay. Oh, the highlighted portions. We feel that the struggle for our civil rights as gay and lesbian citizens is intricately linked to all struggles against racism, sexism, and anti-Semitism in the country and worldwide. We have fought and died for this country. We are its doctors. Signed by Dr. Stephen M. Greer, MD of Asheville.
Now, I have absolutely nothing against homosexual rights, anything like that. I completely agree with the premise.
Yeah.
But if someone's living a double life and doesn't bring that out and own that in this world, and you want to be believed about briefing the CIA and the president and all these people on UFOs, that's a little. His early life doesn't add up to me.
Pause it for a second, Jay.
Yeah. Look at the.
Okay, while Jay's pausing that real quick, guys, I pulled him up on Wiki so y'all can have his Wiki. Greer received his Virginia medical license in 1989 and worked as an emergency room physician in 1998. So where was he for those 9 years, 89 through 98? He decided to retire as a physician in favor of his ufology activities. So he got his license in 89. As far as we can tell, he practiced. He was in some emergency room in 98. But it doesn't mention anything from 89 to 98. That's 9 years. I'd like to know what he was doing. I'm just curious.
That may be. Was that the Baha'i stuff, or was the Baha'i stuff before that? Yeah, that's the hard. I don't know the full timeline.
Let's see. He received a bachelor's degree in biology from the Atapalian State University. What?
Huh?
Is this a real place?
Say the name again.
It says Atapalian. Appalachian State University.
Oh, Appalachian. Yes, it is a real college. Appalachian College. Yes, it is.
Yes, like the Appalachian Mountains. Yes. Okay. So you got to still, I don't think that's a real college. I think that's one of them half-ass schools.
It may not be an accredited college, but it is a college.
Let's see, where was it? In Public Research University, Boone, North Carolina, United States, founded as Teachers College in 1989. Okay.
So it's a teacher's college.
Yeah, it's not a real college anyway.
College for teachers, yes.
Yes. Somebody teach the teachers how to teach. That's just scary in itself.
And is that medical? Teaching medical teachers?
No, it says. Let me go back. he got his where did he go? I just had it. He got his degree in something, and
bullshit. I mean,
I'm pretty sure that's part of it, but in biology. That's where he got his degree in biology. He got his MD degree from John H. Quillen College of Medicine in East Tennessee State University in 87. So wait, now he graduated 87 and get his license till 89. Oh, he was doing an internship, wasn't he, somewhere?
Yeah, I mean, to get the medical license, you have to. I don't know how, but there's like so much years of school, so much years of residency, and then so much years as a I don't know if you have to. They call it a physician's assistant or something to that effect. And then you can become licensed to practice on your own. It's like a 9 or 12-year process. It takes. So maybe that's what that 9 years was. Is he some clandestine hospital doing his residencies and all that?
Residency's only a year or two. You ain't getting no longer than that. Then you're on your
no, but I mean altogether, once you are practicing medicine, it takes like 9 years to do all that stuff to get your license to practice on your own.
No, he got his license within 2 years. That wasn't. He got his. That
doesn't sound right though. I
think graduated in 87. And
let's see what Google says about getting a medical degree. Hey Google.
Yeah, it's usually only a year or two.
To get a medical doctor's degree from college and be able to practice medicine on your own.
You can't count to 8 years of school.
In the United States, the process typically takes about 11 to 16 years after high school.
Yeah.
This includes 4 years of undergraduate study, 4 years of medical school, and 3 to 8 years of residency training, depending on your chosen specialty. You become eligible to practice medicine independently once you have completed your residency and obtained your medical licensure.
And most residencies are about 2 years.
Yeah. So, but like she said, it could take 3 to 8 years. So that 9 year span could be where he was getting his, chops and medical licensing together.
He still would have had to been going somewhere.
I don't know. But where?
No, I mean, he got his license fast. He graduated 87, got his license 89. That's 2 years of residency. That's right on the money. He graduated 87 and had his license to practice in 89.
But then when did he surrender it?
It doesn't say. It just says that he retired.
Google, when did ufologist Dr. Stephen Greer surrender his medical license? What year?
Stephen Greer, the physician associated with the Oklahoma State Board of Medical Licensure and Supervision, surrendered his medical license in 2019.
Damn, that wasn't
so 10 years after he got it?
No, 2019. That's he got it in 89.
20 years after.
Yeah, 30 years. Yeah, he had it for a long time. He just didn't use it.
The article also said that he had some controversial medical practices. So, I mean, I don't know what those are, but.
So anyway, we know that in 98 is when he got. 2001 is when he got into ufology full blown. So 98 is probably when he started. So I would bet you 98 or 99 is his last year working as a doctor. And he'd only been.
Do you find it strange?
I find it strange. He only worked as a doctor for 10 years and then quit.
Yeah. Do you find it strange, however, that Ancient Aliens comes on the scene at about that exact same time? They're 26 seasons in that they started in around 99, 2000. With now they weren't like a regular TV show. It was only quarterly, 3 and 4 hour special episodes. But they show up. Stephen Greer shows up. That's not coincidence. That's synchronicity.
It's weird. It's you mean trust Stephen with the secrets or what? No, I don't think so. I don't think he knows anything. I think he saw.
I wouldn't trust Stephen Greer with my bolognese recipe, which I intend to publish publicly in a cookbook very soon.
So think of it this way, people. He for 10 years he practiced as a doctor. Now remember, it costs money to go to school, be a doctor.
Yeah.
During that 10 years, he had to pay all that medical off. So then he retired from medicine to become a ufologist, which means he's making more money in ufology than he was as a doctor. And he travels all over the place, and he's constantly in Europe and stuff. So
and he charges like $5,000 to $10,000 per speaking lecture as well. And then for his special, like his UFO guided tours, I call bull honkery on that. Those are what, $3,000 to $5,000 per weekend or week, depending on how long the hike is.
I know his favorite thing is doing anytime they got a big conference around and there's a place he can take people. It's $3,000 to $5,000, and they take you out in the middle of the night to have a spiritual meeting with ET. He's been doing it for a long time. And just think if he does that at 50, 60 grand a pop, he does that twice a year, 3 times a year, 4 times a year. He's making 300 grand a year off of, well, ufology people. Shame on him, man. Just shame on him all the way around.
Unless and until one of his attendees has either comes down with some sort of fatal or terrible illness, terrible accident, like breaks a bone or becomes hurt or crippled in some way. Yeah, he would lose that sideline business. So that's kind of a sketchy thing to get into. How do you have a powwow in the desert or in the forest, wherever they go, with aliens and guarantee it and make people give you $3,000 to $5,000 for that experience? And how do they verify that they got the right thing, what they paid for? I would call bullshit, and I'd ask for my money back. So I'll give you $1,000, give me $2,000 back. It was a great camping and hiking weekend, but the rest of it was pure bull honkery.
What's that, Jimmy? As far as I know, they never actually listed when Stephen Greer retired. All they ever say is the same thing. He was a former emergency room physician, and he retired. And he always said the same thing. He retired from medicine to chase UFOs.
Yeah. He heard the calling.
Jimmy, think about it. He was saving lives in an emergency room, and he gave that up to go chase what may have been a fictitious extraterrestrial.
Or nothing at all. A completely Earth-based myth to hide top secret outbreaks or top secret breakthroughs from the United States military industrial complex, which is what I guarantee a lot of you are going to be really, really disappointed when they reveal the videos of these things that may appear at first glance UFO-like, but are in fact actually built here on Earth by us, for us, operated by us. The few that remain that are not explainable, well, will remain in the dark. But most of it's going to be very disappointing for you civilians.
So Greer was married in 1979. He's been married to the same woman, and they have 4 kids. And his net worth.
It's a shame that there's four children on this planet that are completely misinformed.
And his net worth is $12 million.
See, like I said, that's a pretty good sideline business. Let's go out in the woods, and smoke a few hooters, and get some alien experiences. How many people can actually? I mean, are there people out there that can actually say they experienced an actual alien visitation while with Stephen Greer, or did they experience some sort of post-hypnotic suggestion given to them before they got really stoned in the desert?
I learned about it because I was in one of the X conferences when one of the ladies actually went on the thing and spent 5 G's along with some other people. And she had heard me doing a lecture. Yeah, she had heard me doing a lecture earlier that day, and she asked if she could talk to me. And she told me what happened. I was like, "You're kidding me, right?" So I called another Stephen up and asked him. I said, "Stephen, does he really do that?" And he said, "Yeah, he does."
Stephen Bassett.
I can't mention who it was, but
okay.
No. Anyway, no, he told me that's what it was. But anyway, I was kind of like, wow, all right. I said, well, did you have a good time? And she said, no, the whole thing was a scam. She said nothing happened. And then I think it was the next night or the next weekend, whenever it was when they all got arrested out there. He took
for what? They were trespassing on what? Federal property or
yeah, on a some military base. Yeah, some military base somewhere. They wanted the beach side of it. They all got arrested.
What base?
They didn't say. They never said what it was. They just said they all got arrested. I remember it happened because I was at the conference. But
what if it was Area 51, Groom Lake facility? Freedom Ridge.
No. This was somewhere, I think, in Virginia, or it was somewhere around DC. It was because it was going on doing the X conference.
Oh, okay. So that might be out in Western Maryland. There's a facility out there, and I think they call it the R site or the C site. I forget, but allegedly there's some UFO activity coming out of the side of a cliff out there with some black ops helicopters.
I think he was just more worried about privacy than anything else. Let's see. So far, Stephen's written some best-selling books such as Rules to Stop Radicals, The Medical Advocate, The Handbook of Plastic Surgery. Wow. Moreover, he has his own YouTube channel boasting.
How do you go from ER doctor to forcibly surrendered unlicensed doctor to plastic surgeon expert?
They're not saying that
plastic surgery.
Nowhere does it say that he gave up his license. They said he kept it for 30 years. Most of his videos he's got 353,000 subscribers and 30K views on average. Yeah, they're saying that he kept his license. He gave it up in 2019. That's 30 years he kept it. Let's see, 89 to 99, 99 to 219. I mean,
so when did he start? When did he start the UFO stuff? 2001.
So 2001 is when he did the whatchamacallit disclosure, but actually I think he started it in 98. I think that was his last year as a doctor, and I'm pretty sure he started it in 98.
Then somebody's either he's lying or the internet is, because he says that he gave up the doctoring to start the UFO stuff. So that would have had to have been either 98 or 2001. And if that's not true, he surrendered his license in 2019, then he's lying.
No, he said he surrendered it. He just because he retired didn't mean he has to give his license up. That's the thing.
Well, then why did the rumor come out when he said that he had surrendered it unwillingly?
No, but nobody anywhere in that Wiki is saying no, he was a doctor for 30 years. He just wasn't practicing doctor for 30 years.
No, he worked in a hospital. Yeah.
Well, no, he worked for 10 years to 98, and then he retired.
Really?
Out of the 30 years he had a license, only 10 of them he practiced medicine. Unless something's missing in this, but that's what it says.
It still doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
At all.
And 90 and 89.
I mean, why go through the 18-year process to become a doctor from high school onward?
It doesn't take that long.
And then quit like that. It makes no sense whatsoever.
To be a normal doctor, it's 8 years of college and 2 years intern, 10 years total. And so he spent 10 years.
Plus, also there's some high school prep too. If you're really serious about it, high school.
Yeah, but that don't count. You have to go to high school no matter what. College is a choice, high school isn't. So those don't count. Only the years that count. And technically the college doesn't count. He got his 8 years of college, but his life starts when he gets out of college. That's when it starts. So he's got 2 years of intern and then 7 years of practice.
3 to 8 years, right? Yes.
No. 2 years and then 7 years as a doctor. That's what he was. 2 years intern, 7 years as a doctor. 89 is when he got his license. 98 is when he retired. 87 is when he graduated. So it took him to.
I'm sorry, but something just isn't stirring the Kool-Aid when it comes to Mr. Stephen Greer.
Well, because there's something funky monkey going on there. But
I think the man's a fraud. That's all. Frankly, I think he's a fraud.
Well, I want to know how he made $12 million. So I'm kind of curious.
We just discussed that. You would charge 10 or 15 people to go out and get stoned with you in the woods for $3 to $5 grand 2 or 3 times a year. What did that work out to? It's pretty good. It's a pretty good side hustle.
Let's see. Let's try this out. Everybody I've known that's met him didn't like the guy. I don't know. I'll tell you this. I have met him on a few occasions. He's been nothing but cordial to me. I don't agree with him. There's a lot of stuff he says I think is total bullshit. But he's never been.
I think he's a nice guy, but I think he's full of shit too.
Yeah.
Pardon my French.
So, how much do y'all think he gets per lecture? Anybody want to take any guesses?
I'd say 5 to 10. If you're a college or school, 5,000. If you're a private organization, 10.
So starts at 10, goes to 50.
Wow.
And y'all think he's a legit
Probably 50 if
ufologist.
you're a television show and 10 if you're a college.
It's
That's quite another side hustle there too.
so there y'all go, guys. Nah, nothing I'm saying isn't. I'm telling y'all the truth. You can look it up for yourself. It says,
Thanks, Kira.
I said, how much is? I asked Google how much is a Dr. Greer lecture fees, and they said $10,000 to $50,000 per lecture. Additional costs may include travel and accommodations and expenses. That's not even included in $10,000 to $50,000. That's just what he gets paid. They still got to fly.
That's just for talking. Wow.
Yeah, and they still got to fly him out. He might want first class. I don't know. I know he's going to want at least business class.
So I'll bet you if the venue gives him first class all the way, he charges $10,000. If they give him economy class the whole way, $50,000. That's probably how it works, regardless of whether you're a school or a charity or a private organization.
I don't know, Jesse. Do you think he's better at ufology? Has ufology changed because of Dr. Stephen Greer? Is it more popular because of Greer?
Have any revelations that haven't been previously researched by previous researchers been revealed? No.
Let's see. 2 nights under the stars with Dr. Greer. I don't even know what that costs. I'm scared to even ask.
That just sounds creepy altogether.
September 19th. Oh, this is old. September 19th, 2020. September 19th and through 21st, 2025. Wikapoo Casino Resort, Scottsdale, Arizona. Experience an unforgettable 3-day conference with Dr. Greer and his team. I don't even want to know.
I'll bet you $5 I can forget it. I'll go to it and I'll forget it.
Don't even want to know. It's probably $150, $200 a ticket, more than likely.
I'll bet it says unremarkable is watching pond scum evolve.
Look, I don't care if anybody makes money in ufology as long as they're contributing. I just don't feel like he contributes. I think he talks a bunch of bullshit and nothing comes out of it. I can't find any research he's done. I've actually got legit research under the belt.
I don't see any evidence of famous whistleblowers, if you will, that he said claims to know that reverse the sentiment that say they know him.
Ooh, that article must have been. He got 831,000 subscribers.
Huh.
It means he makes a decent amount of money.
I'll say this I don't think he's spewing any lies, but he is definitely spewing a lot of misinformation.
He says they're interdimensional.
There's some, like I said, there's some misinformation within his speeches, but there is also some glimmers of truth. But it's, again, nothing that hasn't. I've been doing this since for 41 years, and it took me at least 15 years to find all this stuff out by asking people who shouldn't have told me things because I was a kid. But I guess they didn't think I would remember, but I did, and I do. And I don't know. I can't reveal their names, and I don't remember all their names. One of them was a very close relative, but most of them are all deceased. So even if I were to somehow recall the names, they can't get in trouble. But I could. I'm probably sure of what I've heard. But we're starting to hear some of these things, and I've been telling people this stuff for last 20 some years, and they're like, "Oh, there's no way. There's 4 species." I'm like, "It's at least 4 to 5. I guarantee you, it's going to come out soon." And then here it is. It's coming out. So it's kind of verification for some of the stuff that 40 years of ridicule, but at the same time, it's not as earth-shattering as we would all like it to be.
That's the truth.
Yeah, it's not, and it won't be, unfortunately. I think that we're getting good data. Don't get me wrong, but we're not getting the good data, the solid data, the hardcore, irrefutable data. That's being held back. That's what they're fighting against.
Jimmy, what are you talking about? Oh, no. Look, if you're out there trying to prove that ET is real, I'm all for it, my friend. I really want to see the truth. But you know, when every time you go to say something, you ask for money, I have a fundamental issue with that. I wish I did not, but I do. I know, but it's unfortunate, but I do. Because you can't.
So consensus on Dr. Stephen Greer. Legit, fraud, we don't know.
I'm going to say he leans one way more than the other.
I'd say he leans to the fraudulent side with legitimate facts.
I don't know. I mean, once I heard him talk about the aliens falling out the gate, I was like, nah, dude, you're so full of shit. It's so look at it. According to him, and
it sells a good book, though, doesn't it?
But according to him, there's a portal, and these ships just fall out of it. They like come to it and they just fall on the ground. That's it.
And then we recover them.
And then we recover them and everything in them.
The one good story about Roswell. But the one good story about Roswell that has the advantage over Greer and Grush is that one of the current theories is that the generals Twining and who was the guy Ramey from the Roswell base, that these two generals that were in control of that airspace and the nuclear weapons we had there, they decided that they were going to try to lure the aliens back to the Alamogordo, Sandia Labs, and White Sands area and try to test their new targeting radar, which is what they were working on, to see if maybe they could get either good data or bring one or more down. And then the theory is that I had on that, and when I read Dr. Friedman's book that he wrote with Charles Berliner, I was shocked that two huge scientists, well, at least one huge scientist and one prolific writer, had the same theory that these devices were brought down by a combination of targeting radar and lightning effects, which somehow disrupted their flight maneuverability, and 1 to 3 of them crashed. I believe 3 craft, or at least up to 15 entities were involved in 3 different crash sites. It may have been one craft that broke into.
But see, that has the same problem that Greer does. That makes him fragile.
It's unproven. It's just a theory, and with our technology, it is the most likeliest because of Occam's razor. Now, until we get better data.
No, it's not, because
actual
as far there is no radar known to exist right now that can affect a gray spaceship. None. There's just none. There's nothing here, and there's nothing you can produce on this planet would affect. Now, let me finish. There's nothing you can produce on this planet that could affect a craft like that size and not kill everybody around it. It's just not going to happen. It's an impossibility.
Well, I think that's why it happened.
And we don't have those.
There was nobody around.
No. That's not nowhere near big enough for what we're talking about. In order to do that, the kind of radar we had back in the day, first off, the dish would have had to been the size 2 square miles, maybe 3 square miles minimum to even produce that kind of power. First off, I don't think we had anything nowhere near that size built. Secondly, in order to make that dish work, you would have had to have a nuclear power source, which we didn't have at the time.
As far as we know. But
we sure had a hard time trying to invent one.
They were doing some top secret work with that radar. So I don't know what the facilities they had, what they were using to emit the radar.
But it doesn't matter. Radar is
using
radar.
Occam's razor, it's not unplausible. It's not an implausible.
It is completely, because radar would have bounced off the surface of the ship. It's radar. It wouldn't have penetrated the surface in any shape, form, or fashion. And if let's be honest about this, if we had a radar that could have knocked out a spaceship in the 50s, we'd have been using that against the Russians, the Chinese, and everybody else. And we haven't.
But I think the one thing you're discounting about the entire theory is, and this is coming from Stanton Friedman as well, is that it's not just the radar. It's a combination of the radar hitting the ship and the lightning hitting the ship simultaneously may have done something to disrupt its systems. And if that is the case, something maybe
first off, do you know what the odds of a lightning bolt hitting anywhere near Roswell is? 1 in 100
there
billion.
Was a
1 in 100 billion. That ain't what no lightning going on.
at the time of the event of Roswell was their most violent thunderstorms ever recorded.
Not during the night. There was no rain or nothing out there.
It's a shame Dr. Friedman is no longer with us, because he was still a strong proponent of that theory.
I know he was, and him and I argued this many times. And like I told him,
I'm in his camp.
I said, you're a physicist, and I have advanced degrees in advanced avionics and electronics. I know more about flight than he did by far, and even he couldn't deny that. You know, when we got to arguing about it, he said, well, that's true. You do know more about flight than I do. And I said, certain things. So we're talking about a saucer. First off, do you know what? Let's say that lightning hit the saucer from above, which is what it would have done. Really, it should have got it from the bottom, because lightning comes from the ground up. But we're not arguing about that. Well, let's say it hit it from the top.
Lightning can come from the ground up or from the ceiling down, and it can go cloud to cloud. There's all kinds of lightning.
Usually it comes from the ground up. So usually that's what happens. It picks a target and pulls it up. But regardless, we're going to say it hit it from the top. So if it hit it from the top and the thing was spinning, the lightning would have done this. It would have cascaded. It would have went just like an electric engine. When you spin the electricity, it discharges it outwards. So it wouldn't have hurt the craft at all. It would have discharged that immediately and swiftly. That would not have been a thing. And radar is not, there's just no radar on this planet that they would not experience in deep space, traveling through. Just the Van Allen belt is more than what we can produce in a radar.
Yeah.
Think of it that way. So that ship had to come through the Van Allen belt to get here.
Unless they were able to focus it somehow and make it laser-like. I don't know, but
I think that's wishful thinking, because they don't want to admit we crashed.
They crashed. Whatever it is that Roswell.
Yeah, we crashed it.
There's a catalyst that made them crash.
No, it's called human error. That's what it's called. So look, so first off, Caroline Rosin all but admitted it when the girl she worked for, who worked for Vernon von Braun, admitted that more than likely we crashed a ship out at Roswell, a recovered ship. She didn't say it's something we built. She said it was recovered. And there's always been rumors that we brought a saucer back from Germany. And then there was lots of rumors that Germany had a saucer since 1899. So it's easy to connect it all the way through. So we already picked this craft up. And this is why there was 2 crash sites and 2 sets of bodies.
The rumor with Operation Paperclip ties into that craft, and allegedly the plan was to get the scientists first. But what they saw, they realized they had to take that first. Whatever that was, they took first, and they came back for the scientists. When they did that, that's what allowed the Russians to get in there and get the choice scientists for rocket engineering. We got the chief engineer, but they got all the guys that could build it, which is why they got into space first. That's why it took us longer. We had to learn how to build the rockets, whereas they got the dudes who built Wernher von Braun's rockets. You see what I'm saying? That's what happened there. So that's where the space race begins. But what was that thing that they decided they grabbed first, besides getting Wernher von Braun and his team of building engineers? Yeah. What was more important?
We know what it was. It was a saucer. There's lots of writing about it, and we know we're the ones that crashed it. People always want to make this in. I'll never understand this about humans. Everybody always wants to make it into a conspiracy when it's not. We tried to fly the thing craft and we crashed it. And we know this because the ship that Bob Lazar seen was probably either that one or one just like it.
Or a similar design. Yeah.
And we also know that they come with escape pods and they come with shuttlecraft. So more than likely, the Greys were on board when we were flying. The Grey, I'll tell you, I bet you money this is what happened. The Grey said, okay, are you ready to take over? And the humans said, yeah, we got it. There's 3 telepath humans. They said, okay, we got it. And they took over and the Greys let go. And guess what? Humans' telepathic brains just not that good. And they crashed. And we know now because we had 2 crash sites with 2 sets of bodies. And that's what everybody never wants to
the third one we don't hear about, because that whatever that crash site is was on board the grounds of either Sandia National Laboratories, White Sands, or Alamogordo. So we know that was the first one that was cordoned off and taken by that's why it took them 2 days or 2 to 3 days to get to the first crash site at Corona, and 5 to 7 days to get to the Roswell site.
Well, No, the Roswell site was next day. Who told you that? Roswell was next day. They were on the Roswell the next day. What's his face?
Yeah, after it was discovered, right? But they were at I have the timeline here. They were at 2 other sites before they were at Roswell.
Well, so the way what looks like happened is whatever crashed at Mac Brazel's ranch was an escape pod, or maybe it was a shuttlecraft of some kind. But it wasn't meant for deep space. It wasn't meant for probably even real space, probably running back and forth to places, because it disintegrated on impact. There was nothing left of it, just little bits and pieces. But the one that went in Corona came down in one piece. That's all it was. It was in one piece. And where there was what looked to be a hatch, it looked like it had hit a rock or something, or maybe it ran into the side of a pointed rock and it pushed it in. And that's where the bodies were laying outside of that door. When they were found, there were 4 human-looking bodies that were glowing this pinkish, beigeish color, and they looked like, according to the witnesses, that they were melting. But they looked like humans; they didn't look like aliens.
That's the site with the geology students from the University of Nevada.
No, that was the site with the there was 2 different groups there. There was the, what do you call a Boy Scouts? Sorry, I couldn't get it out. There was a Boy Scout group there. And then there was a guy with his 2 kids, or his kid and his friend's kid. They were the ones who originally reported it. They reported it to the police.
There's also a site that's reported by the fire department from Roswell and geology students from the University of Nevada and their teacher talking about aliens, not humans. I've heard both stories. And then there's the crash site drawing in the Arroyo on the east side of Roswell, and that craft is been depicted as sort of a bat wing design, not a saucer. But one of the other 2 may have been a saucer, like the sport model, perhaps carried by or docked with the other bat wing device, the delta wing device.
They don't tie it in with the Roswell crash at all. As far as anybody's concerned, only the Corona and Mac Brazel are the same crash. Anything else other than that is an additional crash. And I wouldn't even get into why it's an additional crash, because there's so much shit flying around out there, no telling what was going on. I mean, before they took in that extra, we knew before they took in that extra mountain range, you could go out there at any given night and watch them fly stuff nonstop all night long. And I mean, shit would be doing this, spiraling down and flipping over and shooting straight up. And we didn't even have drone technology back then.
We didn't start the drone probably until 57, 58, when we began the SR-71 projects, and the U-2 was already flying.
No, I'm not talking about drones like what Jay's talking about. I'm talking about little drones, like this size drones. Yeah, the kind that you can look like a UFO but actually be a small thing. We didn't start having them until early 2000. We had them in the late 90s, but we weren't really using them for anything, because the problem with the drones for the U.S. back in the day is the way they had to use the way we controlled them was the problem.
Here's one depiction of the craft, one with the dent you're talking about, but it's not a saucer.
Hold on. Well, this wasn't a real saucer. This was like an elongated kind of saucer.
Yeah, it's a delta wing.
That's not quite it. So the back is right, but the front isn't. The front was round too. It wasn't pointed.
It's kind of at the curved part, but
see, that's one of our craft there. That's
one of ours.
I'd bet money that belonged to us. Well, because of the lift. Because you got to remember something.
Okay, that's the one. That's the one Kenneth Arnold saw, and they say it's very similar to the one that crashed.
Because so when you look at a reptilian saucer is a saucer, but it's like you grabbed each end like a pizza and pulled it. So it's still kind of saucer shaped, but it's narrower and it's a little longer than a regular saucer. It's not a round saucer, Jack. Let's put it that way. It's more like an oblong saucer. But it's still got the same features. It's still got the raised center and bottom. It's still got the sides. It just looks like someone took a gray saucer and just stretched it. But that's a reptilian craft. And as far as I know, there was no reptilians out of Roswell. I've never heard of any. And so
this is a German war wing craft that was actually produced during World War II, but never flew. At least not in the war, anyway.
But I think we took the Germans out before they got all their damn Air Force going. We'd have been in the world of shit after that. Well, at least the Europeans would have been.
They just barely got to launch the Messerschmitt 262, which was the first aerial jet fighter. But they were so fast and they didn't have enough training time with them that the pilots most of the time overshot their actual predator enemies, and were either crashing because they just couldn't control them well enough and or ran out of bullets.
You know, it was funny because there's a clip of Churchill talking about a German jet, and you could hear it in his voice, like, "Oh shit, we're in trouble." Well, they were too fast for the radar at the time. Yeah, they were just screwing the radar up because they would blow by, and by the time
without targeting radar, which we were developing in Alamogordo, we would not be able to track something like that.
They were badass. There just was very few of them, and like Jay said, they were just nobody. It was too close to the end of the war. They could have developed it a year earlier. They could have maybe they could have definitely used it over Europe.
Here we go.
Used it over Moscow.
This is allegedly to Donald Schmidt, and I kind of agree with him. This is the craft as it crashed in the Arroyo. Kind of a delta-shaped wing. Bottom and top. See, the bottom is kind of like tiles, kind of like the space shuttle. Hint, hint. And the top is kind of metallic.
I'll have to show you what the witness is. Droid don't
that's hangar 84A where it was housed at Roswell.
Yeah, well, the witnesses drew something else, and then the guy at not area 18 also drew it, and it doesn't look like that. It's
here's
like
here's another. It's a side view of it with where the hole was.
Yeah, and that hole was a little bigger than what they said.
That's the front right there. That's the side, and then the front is here. The back is over here.
But it was still
this is the front of the vehicle. This is the back of the vehicle.
It was still an elliptic shape, so there was no humps or bumps on it other than.
Well, that's kind of elliptical, kind of manta rayish too, doesn't it?
It was so, but what it was is it rounds out.
What does that look like?
And it rounds out in the back. That looks.
What does that look like?
It looks like an SR-71 is what that looks like.
Yes, it does, doesn't it? Yeah.
That's what that looks like. And see, that's the other problem with all this shit. We don't know if the ships that were crashed weren't ours. We just allowed the government to use, because we didn't say it. The government said it was an alien.
It looks suspiciously like ours, though, doesn't it?
It does. But remember, ladies and gentlemen, witness said it was.
This is the thing that nosedived into the Arroyo, according to Donald Schmidt. And this is how the Arroyo looked when they got there.
Now, it
is
possible.
The craft bounces off of it.
It is possible that we were flying two of our own ships and had an accident. I can't rule that out.
Or three.
Can't rule that out either. You might have a little dogfight going on or something.
There are three crash and or debris sites. Okay, so here's another. I think this is wrong. I think this is the Mac Razzle site. They're saying that the craft, which is over here, explodes somehow, and there's again lightning. Somehow it explodes over the Brazel Ranch.
Okay, so I'm gonna help y'all with Mac Brazel right off the bat. The media was out there when they were picking up the pieces. There was nothing bigger than a bowling ball. Nothing.
Those are the occupants. And there again is the top side and bottom view of the craft again, written by someone else.
Fortunately, we knew the nurse who was
there. Drew that one.
Yeah, Dee was friends with the nurse. That was a big plus. That also used to make Stanton Friedman crazy.
Yeah,
because that was one of his favorite topics was the nurse.
Here's some more pictures of the aliens that's found in the craft and crash.
So those faces look more like what you see on the tall whites.
Yeah,
they look more human than they look alien.
Yeah, they actually have projections for noses and so on.
Well, Jimmy, it's quite well. No, okay. So you got a couple of things. Well, no, Jay keeps saying there was 3 crashes, but only 2 of them were in New Mexico. One of those was in Arizona, and they weren't even in the same days. Yes, I'm not thinking they were actually related to each other. They could have been.
Well, there's also the crash and debris site on top of White Sands and Alamogordo that they also grabbed first. which is why it took them longer to react to the others.
But we don't know what that is either. That could have been something they were shooting down because that's a testing.
Yeah.
No, Alamogordo, White Sands is where we got there's a lot of active material out in White Sands. I wouldn't go walking around out there, people.
Yeah.
Well, it clearly says on the damn signs, could be live ammo in the field. The live fire testing range.
Yeah.
Yes. Sometimes they even have to close off the highway. You can't see.
I don't know if you can read it, but it's signed by Donald Schmidt.
Yeah, it's hard to tell from here. Yeah, it looks good. Now that looks better when you got it up closer. Ginger, you got 2 minutes and we got to go. What you got? Because I forgot to open it tonight. That's all.
1999, I acquired that.
I always tell y'all, tell me ahead of time and I'll open it up. I'll just put it on a different computer. That's all. Well, okay, real quick about Roswell. There was a gentleman who came out and said that that we had crashed two what would be considered in today's world TRs or Aurora or a combination of the two. Probably prototypes for the SR-71.
Which would be called the A-12 at that point.
So, okay. Remember, Mac Brazel didn't say he saw aliens. That's other witnesses. All he said was there was debris scattered over a few acres.
And that's not all. He also, when he was so what people always think that he owned the ranch. He didn't. He was a foreman. He ran sheep. He was a shepherd, and he was running sheep across this river or creek or whatever, a running water bed that he wanted to get them across into another field so they could eat, because where they had been eating was no more food. But they refused to cross, and so when he crossed it and tried to goad one of them across, he looked behind him and noticed the debris. That's when he noted, and then I don't know how he did it, but he took the sheep somewhere else, and that probably took him a day or so before he actually reported. So the actual time frame is we don't know it exactly because of what he was doing, and he was doing this under one of the largest and most violent thunderstorms the area had ever seen.
What's that, Chris? Well, no, I don't know about the thunderstorm. That's mixed stories. Because
everybody reports it, yeah.
What's his name's kid said there was no thunderstorm. He lived there. He said there was no rain at all. He said rain in Roswell, it doesn't even come that time.
Very, especially violent thunderstorms. Yes, that's why they mentioned
it's not. Well, they have rainy season in New Mexico. It's not like where I live, where it rains every effing day. They have rainy season, and they weren't in the rainy season. So, no, I don't agree or disagree because number one, I didn't live there. Number two, I've heard mixed reports on this particular subject more times than I can count. So I just leave it as what it is. If it's rain, it was rain. If it wasn't, it wasn't. Either way, it's still a crash. It doesn't. Well, okay. There are some things that you have to wonder. One of the things you hear Max talk about, and what's his name? The Colonel guy it was very dusty. So that doesn't sound like there was rain. They did talked about how the dust going down the road, you could see it for miles and miles and miles, and how it would also hide anything they had to put on flatbeds. This is all stuff that he talked about on television. So it's again, but then I heard one of the Roswell cadet reporters say the day before that it rained like a biatch. So you take it for what it is, people. Two were saying it was dust, one was saying it was rain. I'll tell you what I do know that most people did agree on. The Roswell cassette, I think is what it was called, put out a one-page thing. It had a picture of what we would today consider fiber optics. It had a picture of what we would consider aircraft aluminum, and they had a picture of what we would consider a microchip. And a very small microchip, by the way. Much smaller than we're even using right now. But that was all stuff that had been seen and agreed that it existed. And you even had people in the military say it existed. So the computer age may have been an accidental age. We may have recovered something, but then it could simply be it was ours. Because you got to remember, Jesse, the government's been using ufology against us for decades.
Yes, and they have.
I mean, look at Stevensville. What was Stevensville? Stevensville wasn't alien, but sure enough, even today they want to argue with you. Oh yeah, it was alien. No, it wasn't. It was a
the triangular UFO craft flap of the late 70s and 80s, particularly over Belgium, the Ohio and Hudson Valley rivers, or Hudson Valleys rather, and where else were TR3B seen? Oh, and over the over Nevada, particularly in the late 80s. Those three triangular craft, the F-117 and the TR-3B, were flown over those air corridors during those UFO flaps. And so I'm sorry to inform people, but they're not.
The F-117 was seen in Eastern California, Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah. Those are all no-fly zones. What's interesting about these no-fly zones, they all link together. So they can actually fly.
So the Nevada California corridor goes this way mostly, and the Hudson Valley goes this way. So they don't ever intersect each other.
Oh no, they do. So the Eastern California overlaps into the Nevada testing range. Yeah. So they're basically one range. And then you've got the Boeing facility, which includes with the Fallon, Nevada system also. Mm. All of this whole area is no-fly zones. Well, that overlaps into Utah, which overlaps into Arizona, which overlaps into New Mexico. There's a whole corridor through there where it's a complete no-fly zone. We found that out too because of Senator McDonald when he reported his F-17 or his TR-3B site. But so at first you had these 117s flying all over the place, all out west. Then we had the TR-3Bs, and that's what you've seen in Belgium and Norway and up in the Eastern Corridor. Those were TR-3Bs, two different craft, and I don't even know why they were tested like that. That in itself is interesting.
I can tell you why. Even as a researcher, when I saw the first photograph UFO triangular UFO, it was the F-117 from below, and I said to myself, "Wow, that's really cool." And then I thought that looked my next thought was that looks like something we built.
It does look like something we built.
I was underwhelmed. I was like, it looks like something we could build. And the only thing is it from underneath the F-117 has two ailerons. What do you call those things in the back? Tail fins that go like this to make a V, right?
Yeah.
And they're at an angle and they kind of come off the back of the plane just a little bit. So from underneath you can see that V. And I was like,
and they weren't supposed to be there.
Why does this thing have control surfaces?
They weren't supposed to be there. They tried. The first two prototypes didn't have tail wing at all. They were supposed to just be that, that whoosh. They couldn't get it to fly.
If you look at the what is it, the Have Blue prototype, that's what the 117 comes from. It doesn't have very much. It has no vertical control surfaces.
Yeah, and for some reason they didn't want it to have any at all. Because it catches radar, but they couldn't fly. And then they said, okay, we're gonna do this computer fly this plane because pilots couldn't fly it right. So then they had to put these fins in the back. They're weird people. They don't go up like this. They go like this. They're like on an angle downward. It's like somebody stuck a dart in the ass in two of them actually. And then they're kind of leaning. Most of the time when you see tail fins, they're going up and down. These kind of tilt backwards. It's supposed to be to keep you from seeing them on radar. That's what it's supposed to be. So that particular aircraft has the radar image of like a hawk flying around. The F-22 looks like a sparrow. That's what the F-22 looks like on radar, as a sparrow. There ain't no way it's a plane. It's teeny, unless you see him flying like this, and damn, them sparrows are flying in war configuration. That's it. Look at it.
There we go.
Yeah, see how they're tilted? See how they lean them back? They did that on purpose. That whole plane was a cluster.
So some of the first photographs that came out was of this. This one right here. So and I thought, wow, this is what you saw from underneath, and I'm like, that's a control surface. It can't be. It must not be alien. But then when you see the I'll get the other one, the prototype here in a second. The TR-3B has three lights underneath of it, and when I saw that one, I thought that's the authentic UFO. And then years in, there were so many of them happening over Belgium and Brussels and the country there. Was that Western Europe? Yeah. I thought, well, maybe they're not alien. Maybe they're something else. Maybe they're reverse engineered, or maybe they're alien craft that were built for us. was another thought.
Well, you
So
know,
that's the reason
so
why
weird.
they did that. It's because it fooled even the researchers.
Yeah, and that's what's so weird about just guys and girls, because we got to go. But remember this when you hear us talking about TR-3Bs. We own TR-3Bs. They're a decent sized plane, or they're not a plane. They're a space plane, is what they really are. But they're a decent sized plane. They're like a couple of F-22s put together, maybe like a C-130 or something like that. They're a decent size, but if you see one bigger than that, especially like the ones they were reporting in Belgium, those are not ours. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to get people confused here, because we had them in Belgium. We were testing them. But according to NATO, on at least 3 occasions, this thing showed up that was bigger than a city. Twice NATO ordered the pilot to fire on it, and they couldn't fire on it. It was not ours. I don't. People swear that those belong to the humans. I don't know. I've never seen one get out of it, so I couldn't tell you. I can go by what contactees say, but I can't tell you that for sure that's who it belonged to. All I can tell you is anything 4 and 5 and 6 miles across does not belong to us, not unless it's a blimp, because we just have not came to that kind of. It's not that we couldn't build a ship that big. We don't have the power supply to keep the son of a bitch in the air.
Well, I'll be darned.
A reactor for each one.
I'm sad to say, or I have to do some more deep searching. There was a Have Blue prototype that, if you looked at it from the side, like a 3/4 view, it looked nearly identical to the space fighter in the Buck Rogers television show. Looked nearly identical to that. It was looked like a brick. It was like a square, like a rectangle. It had all these weird rectangular surfaces on it before it became the triangular thing of the 117 that we now know. It was ugly.
Jesse, I don't know if they've completely retired the 117, but it's got to be real close if it's not.
They still maintain Area 52 for it, so it must have some sort of strategic.
Was it? Well, no. The 117 is not supersonic. It's subsonic. I think it's like 600,
but
550 to 650 or something like that. It's technically it's a bomber.
Successful invisible airplane that took out within minutes, about I think 17 or 13 minutes total time to take out almost all of the Iraqi Air Force.
Justin, you want to know what the 117 actually was supposed to be? The prototype for the B1 and B2. The 117 is not a fighter; it's a bomber. It doesn't have.
It's a joint strike fighter, if you want to.
Sometimes they listed it at FA, which is fighter attack, but I noticed most of the time they have it listed as attack. Because it's not really. It has to fly by wire, because it's so clunky and funky that it doesn't fly right. You can't use hydraulics to fly it.
It computers, otherwise it flies like a brick if the computer stops working. And the skunk works who developed the plane, they even said that the main idea was that they were looking. It was really just a test vehicle for like you said, further eventual invisible airplanes. And that's why the multifaceting on its surfaces. If you look at the stealth planes we have now, they're smooth. They're like jellyfish. They're beautiful.
Yeah, we don't. Well, because practice makes perfect, Jesse. Yeah.
Well, the SR-71 proved you didn't have to be all faceted, but also it meant that you also had to be fast as shit, because when you were detectable, they probably couldn't kill you, but you wanted to be nice and quick.
Most of it, we got to go. It's 20 after, but I'm surprised Michelle hasn't cussed us yet. No, we'll be back Friday. We got a lot of stuff to catch up on Friday. A lot of news going on. Still some more UFO stuff needs to be caught in it as well.
Yeah.
Well, there's still some stuff going on, and no, we're going to be talking about this for a while. We barely even got started on Roswell tonight.
And there's another dump coming in a couple of weeks anyway.
Yeah,
too, so.
And that's what I meant. Anyway, we barely got started on the dump tonight. So there's other stuff I want to talk about that came out in there, and I really want to get into why the government thinks that the internet aliens are the real aliens. It's irritating, and why they're not interested in looking in the past for things. If you believe in the internet aliens, then you have to look in the past, because that's when they got here.
If you believe like Joe was saying, the marketing, I mean, the gray face, the typical almond-shaped head, almond-shaped big eyes, black eyes, formless eyes, not eyes with irises and the colored part like we have, which they have, but the ones with the black coverings on them, they're AI sentient contact lenses. So if nothing else, one might assume that the UFOs, or at least the gray aliens, are brilliant marketers because they're selling their image all up and down the planet. Who knows what kind of profit margin they're making? I want in on that scheme.
I know. No, Stephanie J did that banner for the show earlier. Yeah, that's a good looking banner. No, it's a cool looking banner. No, we got to go. No, we'll keep it. It'll get used again because it's got our names on it and stuff. And it's just it's a generic banner, meaning there's not a topic on it, so we can use it because sometimes we make topic banners. So
yeah,
you can only use a topic banner when you're on that topic. Yeah. But anyway, we got to go, girls, because guys and girls, because Michelle's on right now, and I haven't even looked to see who she is on. I know it was a pretty good guest though. On that note, we're going to get out of here. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to UFO Undercover and United Public Radio. I hope you enjoyed the show. Feel free to send us whatever you got on aliens and extraterrestrials.
Yeah.
You know what? We'll do a deeper dive into Dr. Greer. How's that? We'll invite some guests on and we'll do a deep dive into Dr. Greer. No, I'm not going to invite Stephen Bessette to come on and talk about Greer because they have to work together. And I wouldn't do that to Stephen. He's a friend of mine. I'll bring him on to talk about other stuff though. Stephen likes to talk about stuff.
Yeah, Stephen is very good.
We need to bring him on anyway to talk about what he thinks. How close does he think disclosure? Frankly,
I'll bet you he's of our same exact mentality. Not enthusiastic at all.
People, look, the Kennedy things was so far. All of these big disclosures have been disappointing at best.
Underwhelming is the word.
That's a good word. That's a really good word for it. Anyway, on that note, we're going to go. Thanks again for tuning in to United Public Radio. I hope you enjoyed the show. Of course, any moans, groans, bitches, or gripes, feel free to write to Michelle DeRoche. She always loves to hear from y'all. Good night, everybody.